for the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Zulfikar Mustapha.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, first of all, I want to say I rise to support the motion as presented in the Honorable House to confirm the external loan. Mr. Speaker, before I go into the main points in my presentation, we heard the Honorable Member just mention, and when we come to this House, we must be factual. The last time I spoke, an Honorable Member came here and misled this House. Misled this House in saying that there was an arbiter that was not that were built under the APNU or started under the APNU. Now we heard again today an Honorable Member came here and said that the nursing school in Linden is closed. I wonder why she's making or she had made that statement. It's because there are certain type of people living in Region 10. She is using it in a racial point to just highlight that. I think, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member must withdraw that statement because the nursing school is functioning and it's training nurses in Region 10.
On a point of fact.
Mr. Speaker, and then we heard
Mr. Speaker.
Well, I wouldn't yield to her.
You're yielding? You're not yielding to Miss.
So, Mr. Speaker, and then we heard speakers after speakers from that side of the House were talking about the various sectors in non-oil sectors and the decline in the non-oil sectors. Mr. Speaker, I just want to quote some point here that we have. In the non-oil sector, rice in 2021 production, paddy was 861,214 metric ton. In 2022, it increased to 939,377 metric ton. Mr. Speaker, rice production was 559,789 metric ton in 2021. In 2022, it rose to 610,595 metric ton. So I don't know where those honorable members are getting their facts. And Mr. Speaker, then when you look at the yield, in 2020, when this government took office, the yield was 5.7 tons per hectare. And we have increased that in 2023 to 6.2 tons per hectare. And that shows how we are increasing production in the non-oil sector. And I want to also go along various areas for vegetables, and I can talk about the high-value crops, things like onion, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, red cabbage. We have moved production from 2,726 metric ton in 2021 to 5,017 metric ton in 2022. Those are the facts. Mr. Speaker, root crops. We have increased production from 12,207 metric ton in 2021 to 23,963 metric ton, and 96% increase in root crop. Mr. Speaker, fruits. We have increased production from 180,402 metric tons to 197,873 metric tons. And 10% increase. Mr. Speaker, in coconuts, we have increased production from 36,544 metric tons to 49,138 metric tons, a 34% increase. Mr. Speaker, meat, we have increased production from 53,960 metric tons to 60,112 metric ton, another 11% increase. And Mr. Speaker, aquaculture, which is a success story in this country, which is now being developed as an industry in this country, we have increased that by 101,885 tons in terms of differences. 608% in aquaculture production. Those are the facts. Those are the facts in the non-oil economy. And I want those members over there, so when they come here, they must speak the facts. Mr. Speaker, and we heard just now the honorable member talk about failures. She spoke about failures in one, the transformative project that we wanted to start prior to 2015 when we were in government. And they have the ability to use issues and use event to satisfy their needs. For example, we knew for a fact that in 2020, the general election that was held in March the 1st, they were trying to hold on to government unlawfully for 5 months, and at the end of it, trying to fool the Guyanese, telling the Guyanese that they won the election. That's the kind of way they're trying to use event to satisfy their needs. Mr. Speaker, it's public knowledge that development is a concept that is far, far from their vocabulary. Simply put, Mr. Speaker, let us look at the Amelia Falls Hydro Project. They stopped it. That was a transformative project. Today, Guyanese would have enjoyed cheap electricity if that project would have been on stream. But the AP and UAFT stopped that project. Mr. Speaker, we heard they said just now that the project failed. The project did not fail. It failed because the AP and UAFC failed the project. They are the failure. They have sabotaged the entire project. And they're coming here now to use that to justify their action. Mr. Speaker, we heard about the specialty hospital. That they thought that project failed. They stopped the project, especially Honorable Member Mr. Ramjatan and his party. They voted against it. When in 2011 to 2015 government of the PPPC, they voted against with the 1-seat majority. They used their 1-seat majority to derail the progress in our country. And now they are coming here, sharing crocodile tears, telling the Guyanese people that they must believe them. Mr. Speaker, I want to inform the honorable members over there, not so long ago, a few weeks back, a few months back, the Guyanese people would have spoken. The PPP Civic had a landslide victory in the local government election. Mr. Speaker, we won 67 local authority areas out of the 80 local authority areas.
Good point.
And that is not the fact. We increase our support in their areas of support, places like Georgetown, New Amsterdam. We won Bartica, we won Madja. We increase our support in Linden. We won Pleasance. So, Mr. Speaker, if all the policies of the PPP civic government was bad, then their supporters wouldn't have voted for us. But they saw the vision of this party, they saw the development agenda of this party, they saw the transformation that is taking place in our country, and they voted solidly for the People's Progressive Party Civic.
Good point.
Mr. Speaker, we must not come here like empty barrels and make nice. We must come here with facts. I am here producing the facts. That we have. For example, they were talking about they are seeing growth in the oil economy, the oil sector. We have a lot of growth. Today, Guyana is the envy of the Caribbean. Guyana is leading the charge for food security in the Caribbean. Guyana is transforming the entire, not only Guyana, but the Caribbean, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our President, our President, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, is leading the agriculture agenda in CARICOM. The entire 15 states in CARICOM are looking forward to that leadership, that transformation that is taking place right now in the Caribbean. Mr. Speaker, and not long ago, when I became Minister of Agriculture, Guyana had ceded its place to St. Vincent and the Grenadines for the first time in the history of CARICOM. Since the formation of CARICOM, Guyana would have lost its place in terms of speaking on agriculture. Our place was taken away by St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And when we get back into government in August of 2020, with the transformation that has taken place, and with the kind of leadership that was displayed by His Excellency the President, today Guyana is leading the charge, and CARICOM will be successful with Guyana leading the way to reduce the food import bill of 25% by 2025. That's the way that we have been doing things. And Mr. Speaker, we heard just now about sugar. Right? Mr. Speaker, we said, and any country in the world, use a black sheep. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you, we said in our manifesto, and we are talking about increasing the loan ceiling in our country. We need more money, and as a country develops, and any family, the Honorable, my colleague, would have explained it earlier, right? That as a country develop, as a family develop, your ceiling or your spending power will increase. As long as your spending power increase, the ability to earn will increase. So when you take a loan, you'll have more money to service that loan and pay back that loan. But you cannot wait until your earnings to develop your house or your country. You have to have the money in advance. That is why we are seeing the total transformation of our country. You are seeing the total transformation of our country. Honorable Member Indar and my colleague, Dr. Vindhya Prasad, would have stated the development that are taking place in the public works sector, in the health sector. And when you look at the agriculture sector, we are seeing a revolution. I just mentioned, Mr. Speaker, I just mentioned just now some of the traditional crops, some of the traditional produce that we are producing. But when you look at the non-traditional area, we are making those an industry now. Less than 3 years, today marked 3 years for the PPP Civic in government. Mr. Speaker, we have transformed a number of areas. Let us look at the corn and soya project. By the end of this year, we will be cultivating approximately 3,000 acres of corn and soya. We have already built silos at the Takama Savannah. We are now constructing a wharf, and we have transformed the entire network of road to that area. Mr. Speaker, you can leave Georgetown, and in less than 2 hours, you're in the Takama Savannah, looking at the corn and soya, looking at the silos, and looking at the wharf. That's the transformation that we are talking about. But when you don't have vision, when you come in this parliament and you're trying to heckle without any facts, that is why we have seen less. 5 years they were in government, and after 5 years the people said no more for them. And for a lifetime they can come in here and beat their chest, make noise over their breath. We'll never again see the seat of government in this country. Never again they will see the seat of of government. Mr. Speaker, you know why? Because the programs that we have started, the people-friendly programs, Mr. Speaker, people-centered programs, and we heard some member over there talk about people-centered program, that we don't have any people-centered program. When you look at the programs that we have, when you look, Dr. Singh talk about the cash grant for school children, which they took away. They took away today. School children are enjoying the cash grant. They are enjoying increased uniform vouchers. We are seeing cash grant to vulnerable families. When the COVID started and we were in government, we give cash grant to every single household in this country. We have given cash grant to the sugar workers who are retrenched under the AP and UAFC. Mr. Speaker, we have given cash grant to the fisher folks. Those are the people-centered programs that we're talking about. So when we have this money, when we take this loan, and when we have more money in our country, the benefit of the people, the benefit for the people increases. You have more spending power. You have more development taking place. That is why the people of our country, they are now embracing the policies of this government. They are looking forward for the future in this country, where we'll ensure that we transform the length and breadth of this country. Today, all the programs, the new programs we are seeing coming on stream, more money is needed to spend on those programs. You look at the 5 years that the AP and UAFC was the government. Not one single new program. Not one single new program they implemented. All the programs that they tried to do were PPP civic program that we started when we were in government. And today you are seeing new projects. Some of the projects that were mentioned, the new Demerara Harbor Bridge, the 4-lane highway. You see new housing schemes. You see the Quarantine River Bridge. You see new area in production. New area in production. You see more land being taken up. New infrastructure being built. For example, in the agriculture sector, we are now modernizing the agriculture sector. We are moving the agriculture sector from a labor-intensive sector to one of a modern sector. We are making agriculture more smarter, doing agriculture in a smarter way, climate-smart agriculture. We are seeing more farm-to-market road. We are now building new labs. We are building tissue culture labs, where we will produce not only hundreds but millions of planting material for our farmers in the near future. That's the development that we are talking about. So when we take these loans, when we have more money, the benefit goes to the people. The benefit goes to the people with these programs. So, Mr. Speaker, it's important that we have to look why we want to increase the ceiling of this loan, because it's important that we develop our country now. It's important that we modernize our infrastructure. We can't left behind. The world is moving fast. And when you look at countries, developed countries, I was just Googling there while sitting. When you look at places like Germany, United Kingdom, France, United States, you will see the debt, because they took debt to develop their country. And today many persons from third world countries wanted to go there. Because why? The development that have taken place over time. And not long from now, Guyana will be that stage. Guyana is moving to that direction to modernize our infrastructure. So it seems, as I said, Mr. Speaker, when you come here, must come with facts. Don't come and rabble-rouse and talk things that misinform this august body and talk about things. When you look at the expenditure in the agriculture sector alone, we have increased expenditure in the D&I sector. In 3 years, we have increased expenditure from $14 billion to over $50 billion in 2023. We are seeing more pumps being procured. We are seeing more pump stations being built. We are seeing more canals, more sluices. Why we are doing this? We We are doing these things because we recognize that climate change is real. Climate change is real, and we have to ensure that we modernize our infrastructure so that we can be prepared for the future. We can be prepared for Guyana to ensure that we lead this sector, because as we are saying, that Guyana is already leading on three main fronts. Guyana is leading in the energy sector, in the climate sector, and we want to be food secure, a nation that will be leading in food security. And there we want to go. We are not taking the money just that we want to take loan. We are using the funds to modernize our country, to build the infrastructure, to prepare our country for the future. So, Mr. Speaker, with this short presentation, I want to commend this motion to this Honorable House and say that every single person have a duty to support this motion. Thank you very much.
Excellent.